I'm really not good with protocol, but maybe let me do it so that I can get to be free to say whatever I want. Let me start by greeting our guest of honor and keynote speaker, Chief Justice Mogoeng. We have Minister Nathi Mthethwa in our midst. Minister, welcome. We're expecting to have Minister Lindiwe Zulu with us. She may be around, I haven't seen her. Past presidents of the Black Management Forum, members of the board, Public Protector, Advocate Thuli Madonsela, Professor Malkhapuru Makgoba, Mr. Sipho Nkosi. These are our distinguished guests today, and you'll soon find out why. And greetings to our key partners and sponsors, Mr. Sim Shabalala, Mr. Siyabonga Gama, Mrs. Philisiwe Mthethwa. Friends of the Black Management Forum, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's 40 years of BMF existence. It has not been easy. It had its own challenges. But we are grateful as the BMF to be where we are today. I should pass my apologies from former presidents Mncube, Eric Mafuna, Mzwanele Manyi. They specifically asked me to do that. I think knowing what Jimmy is like, he's going to ask some of people here whether I did apologize on his behalf and reprimand me if I didn't do that. Our theme for this evening is the 40 years of changing the transformation landscape. The BMF is internally posing and counting the stock in terms of transformation agenda in our country. And despite many challenges that we are facing in our country, we want to pause, reflect, celebrate the achievements that we have managed to achieve as far as transformation is concerned, and the progress that we have made in this country. And also it's a moment to reflect in terms of what more can we do as a country moving forward. It's hard for BMF to be in continuous celebratory mode because the nature of the organization has to tackle all the tough issues that we are facing. But I think for once we need to try to balance the two. So today we pause and celebrate our achievement of reaching the summit. The 40 years of BMF existence, which is best described by words of Nelson Mandela, when he says, "I've walked along freedom, I've tried not to falter, I've made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I've taken the moment to rest, to still the view of a glorious vista surrounding me, to look back on a distance that I have come, but I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities. I dare not linger, for my walk is not yet ended." Close quote. I think it's just moments like these that we celebrate, but we also pause and realize a huge responsibility that we have. If we are to have a country and own our country, we then know that we need to advance the issues of transformation, to make sure that our children, they can inherit a better country and society than the one that we inherited from our forebearers. So, some of the anecdotes in terms of why we're here. So, we are here because of the brave men and women who decided to do something about the challenges that we're facing black people in companies largely, but in our society just in general. And amongst them, it was the phase in terms of, I'm trying to pin out the milestones that the BMF has had. A phase when we were a shoulder to lean on, whereby black managers, they meet, they talk and discuss about the challenges that they are facing in the country. So I think our former president, Don Kwanazi, coined the phrase that we are corporate guerrillas. And that's what we know. So we are fighting our own struggle, but we chose not to leave the corridors of corporate and workplace, and we forged ahead with that struggle. And by the way, for your interest, Minister Blade Nzimande, his thesis of his PhD is corporate guerrillas. He did a research on the work that the BMF has done, and it earned him a PhD. So another big milestone, by the way, is when the BMF came up with the affirmative action blueprint. And the blueprint basically was supposed to help companies to tackle with the issue of transformation and going about finding a methodology and approach in terms of how they could implement transformation. And it evolved to the Employment Equity Act that we have today. And BMF seconded 2 of its own employees. Mphomakwana initially spent time with Minister Tito Mboweni, Minister of Labor then, and he was followed by Loyiso Mbabane, directly working from the BMF to go and being seconded to work for this government. So the BMF has contributed enormously as far as that piece of legislation is concerned. And at our conference at Spear in Stellenbosch, we took a resolution that we need to have a Black Economic Empowerment Commission. And the commission was supposed to help us deal with these issues of Black economic empowerment, who needs to benefit, how it should work, and so on and so forth. And we took the idea to the Black Business Council. We asked Cyril Ramaphosa then, or let me say Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, he was not the Deputy President then, to chair the commission. And it gave us a way forward in terms of what needs to happen. That's why we have a Black Economic Empowerment Act today. And I can go about Skills Development Act, which we played a direct role around it. So these pieces of legislation, ladies and gentlemen, we laid claim to them because we're midwives, as far as those pieces of legislation are concerned. We have had a lot of time about a Black manager and a BMF manager. Chief Justice, we like to think that there's a difference between a BMF manager and a Black manager. A BMF type manager is a patriotic South African and therefore a person who's committed to partner in a nation building project, an individual who's involved in community work and structures that strive to stabilize, uplift the weak and the disadvantaged, a selfless approach, a high performer whose modus operandi is discipline, creativity, courage, and integrity, an effective manager and a leader of the people with strengths of providing development and opportunities and growth, and essentially an individual who empowers others, a strong yet modest advocate and champion of organizational transformation through affirmative action and Black economic empowerment, an active subscriber in the value of Ubuntu and other principles, a person who learns continuously from others and adopts a supportive and inclusive approach in engaging others, a person with a soul, a believer in the wisdom of the collective, a visionary with an empathy who understands the socio-economic context. That's a BMF manager. Unfortunately, some of our members, they don't live up to these expectations. But this organization has produced a critical mass of executives, both non and executives in different companies that they occupy. And one of the most interesting things about this organization, people are not parachuted within this, they grow within this organization. Amongst others, we have people like Lotun Love who worked for the organization and ended up leading the organization. By working, I mean being in the payroll of the organization. And we have people like Begis B, who did the same, Nolita Fakude, Jerry Vilagazi, A.B. Tebeani, Mphomakwana, Loyiso Mbabane, Khabatabani, Khanki Matabane, and myself. literally our livelihood would depend on the BMF. We'll be on the payroll of the BMF, work for the BMF, and ultimately graduate to lead the BMF. This is where we invested our 10,000 hours in managerial leadership development. So the BMF taught us three things. It taught us confidence for us to be able to raise issues, to defend our views. And it also taught us competence to, once you have confidence, you will have you'll have courage to start doing things. You do them successfully, you develop a competence. And most importantly, I think it taught us character. And character is an identity, who we are. So the BMF type manager is not a black who go and behave in these companies as if they are white and confuse white people, whether there's a difference. We are who we are, and we are true and honest to ourselves. Chief Justice, this organization has done quite a lot of things. Amongst others, we went to make a submission at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to express and explain the hardship that black people were subjected to during apartheid. And I remember very well, Prof. Nkutlu was still the president, and Lord Ndlovu was the MD. I think this submission was at Carlton Center, where we made this submission. Amongst others, Lord and basically led this delegation. He summarizes our submission, or at least is a section of the whole input that we've made that I like. When he says human rights violation by business are seen as those policies, practices, and conventions which denied black people the full utilization of their potential, resulting in deprivation, poverty, poor quality of life, which attacked and threatened to injure their self-respect, dignity, and well-being. Some of these violations were open abuses, while others were indirect, and yet they buttressed from those carried out in a socio-political level. So this organization is honest, speaks truth to power, it doesn't sugarcoat things, and it's a problem that we have because we cannot behave any other way except to tell the truth. And one of the biggest highlights, actually, we don't talk much about this one. I think we need to start to amplify the role that Nolita Fakude played. Nolita Fakude took the Black Management Forum to World Economic Forum in Davos, and later to WEF Africa in Cape Town. We partnered with McKinsey. Essentially, the purpose of those engagements was to help develop managerial leaders in the continent, but starting with South Africa. To say that if the economy is to grow, and we're going to own our economy, like how the Kenyans, Ghanaians, and Nigerians are owning their economy, we need to think about the issues of skills and going about developing that. We made that input at Davos. So let's give Nolita a round of applause for the massive contribution. So, enough about history now. So, what have we been up to? This leadership came into office, Chief Justice. I was elected in October 2015. So about 8 months, but it feels like 8 years. What we want to do is to break the glass ceilings to ensure there's a critical mass of black people into senior management and executive positions. We're tired of transformation that is going slow and people being trained, but there's no succession happening around that. We're tired. And the Jack Hammer report basically tells us that in 2012, the representation of black executives was 15%. In 2015, that reduced to 10%. So as far as transformation is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, we're going backwards. Transformation is in reverse gears. And what we did, we tried to be civil people. We issued statements and we wrote letters to meet up with these executives. To date, we have met up with 8 board chairmen or chairpersons, for those who want me to be politically correct, and about 7 CEOs, in fact 7 CEOs. And we discussed around a number of issues. We issued a statement around succession planning of CEOs. That's why people are asking, why did you attack MTN, ArcelorMittal, Tiger Brands, and Nestle? It's because they were in the process of succession planning. And we were reminding them about the Jack Hammer report and the fact that they should consider appointing black people for those CEO positions. Needless to say, some of them ignored us. And we'll find a way in terms of addressing this. Others, we did engage with them. And it's a mixed bag in terms of the response that we have. For example, Standard Bank has been grateful in terms of our engagement. We had, subsequent to meeting both the chairman and CEO, we had separate engagements. And we don't have to agree on these issues, but at least we need to understand each other in terms of where we're coming from. And we're respectful in terms of, and grateful in terms of those engagements. And Vodacom chairman, Peter Moyo, is open and he agrees with us that transformation is in reverse gear. And essentially has even invited us to come to address EXCO of Vodacom. ADCOP has done the same thing, invited us to address their EXCO as far as the transformation is concerned. Sasol was very interesting engagement. Advocate Mthunzi, you know, when I left Sasol after that engagement, I felt like I didn't know how to be you. I don't know how do you have this calm demeanor and never show anger. I couldn't wait to get home and have a double of something. But the summary is that they say joint CEO makes sense because these two individuals, their skills, they are so complementary, it's like a match made in heaven. We couldn't have found better candidates. And I said, you know, if every company would do that, no single individual will be a CEO of any company. And we go through succession planning. I've been sitting in boards and I've been an executive for many years. None of those executive session planning comes with the outcome that it will be a joint CEO. Okay, doesn't come around that. Okay, we told them, we disagreed, and we walked away. But I'm going to pen a letter to our members. You know, I like what Sim Shabalala did. He wrote to his staff, but it became a public consumption. Yeah, I enjoyed that letter a lot, and I don't work for Standard Bank. So I'm going to write a letter to the BMF members, okay? It's not for any other people except BMF members to address Sasol. It's coming. So, black executives need to understand that they carry a transformation agenda. Whether they like it or not, you carry the responsibility. We're going to judge you about what you're doing as far as transformation is concerned. Whether you like it or not, we have views about you. So you better advance transformation, because otherwise you're going to be seen on the wrong side of our lenses as far as the issue of transformation is concerned. And that, to us, it's a very big problem. And by the way, there's a hashtag movement. These students who are in institutions of higher learning, they're coming in the next 2 to 3 years into corporate. So you can imagine what's going to happen. Good luck. Because we are reasonable people, at least we write letters, we want to sit in boardrooms. These kids are not going to do that. I mean, I have a colleague who studied at UCT for 4 years doing engineering. He says, Mncane, you know, I was at UCT for 4 years. This statue, I used to see it. It never bothered me. And so, there are many things that we have our own statues in corporate South Africa today. It doesn't bother some of us, except a true BMF manager. which I've described. Let me conclude. Let me conclude by the words of President Mandela. President Mandela came to address the BMF on the 24th of November 1995. And he made one of those important speeches. But amongst other words, he reminded us that, I quote, "The profits and the access to resources and decision-making power which flows from the opportunities that are opening should be used not only to reward enterprises and achievements, they should be used to enhance productive capacity, efficiency of companies and institutions and their employees. Affirmative action, likewise, is the responsibility that must be embraced by its beneficiaries themselves and extended to others. I raise these issues," he continued, "because I'm confident that the Black Management Forum, which represents a sector of society that formed itself under the most difficult circumstances when opportunities were few, has critical leadership role to play under the favorable conditions of today. The challenge for the Black Management Forum and for Black professionals generally is to use the voice which their achievements have given them to help enlarge their own ranks. In so doing, they will contribute to the realization of the vision of a better life for all South Africans." Close quote. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's enjoy the BMF 40th anniversary.